Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Welcome to part 2 of my 8-part series training, basically on short sales. So welcome. It looks like we have Ed. Well, Ed, I know, thank you. You've been here for a while, so I appreciate that. And then Elizabeth, not sure if you've been here before, but we are live every single Thursday at 11 a.m. Central. And so right now we're working on this series training. I thought it was really important to educate with all my knowledge, educate you on the process and really kind of what's to come. You know, these deals are about 50-50. So you're going to see some short sales and you're going to see some equity sales. So we use the term equity sales inside of my coaching community because that means that these sellers have equity, but they are way behind. To give you a quick example, I have a seller that came off of one of my letters, and that's what we're going to talk about today, how to really stand out and be consistent in this market. She called off of one of my letters. She has an auction date on May 21st. It's actually an equity sale. So we listed it and got about 20,000 more, and she's making about $88,000. That never happened when I first started this wacky career in the niche of distress sales. So I would love to answer any questions as we go through this. If you watched part 1 last week, are there any questions on the leads? Where to find them? That is really the first part of getting organized. So if you've been on these live streams before, I really stress 3 pillars to thrive in the niche of distress sales. One of those is organization, one of those is consistency, and the other one is communication. So we're going to talk more about communication in the weeks to come, but last week was really about getting organized. So if you watched part 1 last week, it was how we get our leads. And so I just want to see if there's any questions from last week or just any questions in general. Hi, Charles. Also, I know Lisa's in New York. If you are new,
Hello.
hi, Lisa, how are you? I think Renee is in Michigan, if I remember right. So I'm not sure. Ed is Oklahoma. So Elizabeth, I would love to learn where you are located. If you want to just chat that, that would be great. Or
Cleveland, Ohio.
Ohio. Okay, great.
Hi.
Hi. So Ohio processes their foreclosures just like here in the state of Illinois. So sorry for that.
That's okay. Thank you.
Process. So if you were not on last week, make sure you go back and watch part one. Part one was really like, where do I find these leads? And every system's going to be a little bit different. I've tested a lot of systems over the years. And so we currently, inside of the coaching community, use Property Radar. Do you have to use Property Radar? No, you don't. But we try to provide as many tools as we possibly can, especially to mirror what I have done and the success that I've had. So today, part two is really how do you stand out in this distressed niche, okay? So we all know what's going on with NAR. I don't know, anyone here, if you want to comment, do you mostly take on listings or mostly take on buyers? I do try to make these kind of interactive, so I really would like to know, what is more of your business? Is it buyers or is it listings? Ed, so I don't like PropStream, I don't like RedX. I don't think it's necessarily bad. Like if you're using those systems and you're having success, I wouldn't just if it's not broken, don't change it, right? I just felt over the years, in all of my trial and error, I like Property Radar for a couple different reasons. One, I'm really big on simple. I like simple things because the whole niche of distress sales is complicated in general. So the reason why I like Property Radar is because my community can learn to market separately to families that have an auction and families that are just in pre-foreclosure status. So we have two separate marketing campaigns going for those email campaigns, letters, postcards, all of that. So if you're using it and it works, don't change it. No problem, Lisa. No problem. So if there's questions on that, then just let me know. But really, last week is kind of getting organized. Like, where are you gonna find those leads? What I don't love is just you come in and you just wham, you put it all together. You've got to take some time to get organized and be consistent. So this week we're really going to talk about consistency. So any of you that have done short sales, or is anyone currently marketing to distress sales? I would love to know that. And again, let me know if you're more buyer side or listing side. Don't be afraid to comment. It's okay. I'm not going to bite. I just like to get to know anyone who is on these live streams. So if you could just chat that, that would be awesome. I'm just going to check the live stream in the group and see if there's any comments yet. No. Okay. More on the buyer side. Okay, that's okay. So I know that there's a lot of changes coming. I am not typically a buyer's agent per se. However, I do have a buyer closing tomorrow, but that came from a distressed listing many, many years ago. And so, if you're setting up your business and you're really taking those three pillars, which is communication, consistency, and organization, it is going to lead to so much more business down the road. My biggest advice for agents out there is to pick a niche and stick with it. I do feel like a lot of them move all over the place. It's chaotic. And then, you're not getting to be a specialist in a particular niche. So Elizabeth, you may love buyers. Great, continue with it. How are you going to adjust when the new changes come? I do feel like a lot of people have reached out to me and they're like, hey, Heather, I think now is the time to figure out these distress listings. Great. Attend these free trainings. They're every single Thursday. I love to answer questions. But Elizabeth, are you looking to take on more distress sales? If you are in the right location. So today we're going to talk about consistency, okay? So some ways that I have marketed over the past, some really top ways to stand out. And so is anyone currently marketing to distress sales right now? If you could just either comment yes or no, that would be great. So trying to decide, so that's great. So maybe I'm just going to comment on Lisa's what she said. So if I would love to know if everyone here, are you marketing to distress sales currently? Yes or no? So just go ahead and comment that. But I love that you're here, Lisa. I know that you've been on some of my other ones, and that is great. So the niche of distress sales is definitely not for everyone. The reason why I love it is because I'm a super consistent, organized person, and I can really take my simple system that I have created and run with it. You know, are my days fairly similar? Yes, but there's always something new when it comes to this type of niche. So I love that you're here because I do think people have time to really understand and come to these live streams, really what's going on, how to implement this, and see if the niche of distress sales is even good for you. Can it be a lot of work? Yes and no. If you have a good system in place, then you're going to be totally fine. And again, I stress a simple system, right? But ultimately, it is a very, very rewarding niche to be in. If you have it on your heart and you truly want to help these homeowners, you are in the right place. If you want a flexible schedule, you are in the right place. And I mean flexible. I have two boys, 13 and almost 10. And so I work during their school day. Do I take appointments in the evenings or the weekends? It depends. Depends on the whole situation. But it's also a niche that there's not a lot of competition. So there's always competition with buyers. There's always competition with traditional sales. There's not in the distressed niche. And when I say distressed, I mean either short sales or equity sales. We call them equity sales in my community. That is a family that has equity, but is way far into the foreclosure process. Okay. Okay, so Kimberly, no. Lisa, no. Elizabeth, no. Okay, great. Thank you for commenting. That is okay. So our top ways. Direct mail marketing has been absolutely huge for us over the years. I have a pre-foreclosure letter that I am happy to give out. And so I'm going to post my email now. I know some of you already have this letter. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. If you don't have that letter, it's in a Word document. It's going to be easy for you to edit front and back, very colorful. Send me an email. Either myself or my team will get back to you and you'll be able to download that pre-foreclosure letter. I use this a lot when I first started because it was something to get me going. But over the years, you have to learn and you have to adjust and you have to tweak certain verbiage. And so the pre-foreclosure letter I was just sending out to families that had a pre-foreclosure status. Now, for the past 13 years, I've separated that. So I think one of the things, if you're planning to get in the niche of distress sales, is really you have to have a system, but you have to be consistent in sending out the pre-foreclosure and the auction. And that's really how you're going to stand out. You have to continue to send those letters. Hi, Kimberly, it's nice to see your face.
Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, so that's the letter, the pre-foreclosure letter.
Okay.
So, if you don't have that letter, send it. I am not using that letter anymore, but it was a great start. The reason why I don't use it anymore is because we have a very powerful weekly letter that we're sending out, and then we went more to a series letter for the pre-foreclosure. So I'm going to talk a little bit about both of those. But really, if you're staying consistent with the direct mail marketing, it is you're going to stand out, okay? But you want to consistently send those because these homeowners, they are not going to call you right away. They may just take your letter, put it under the rug for several weeks. It is crazy. So definitely the direct mail marketing. And really, you have to get out there and talk about it with everyone. Attend events that have attorneys that could help you. don't attend realtor events. How is a realtor going to help you with a short sale? They're not. Yeah, so Lisa's saying it takes an average of 7 times. So really the way that we stand out is our relationships with our attorneys, which we're not going to talk about that in this particular training. We're going to talk more specifically about the direct mail marketing. Direct mail marketing is not dead. It is very much alive, but if you're taking notes, there's 2 separate basically campaigns, okay? So Kimberly just shared or showed us the pre-foreclosure letter. That is a great way to get started, okay? That is going to go to families that are in a pre-foreclosure status. So Elizabeth is in Ohio. We are Liz Pendants, okay? Other states are NOD, notice of default. So whether it's notice of default or Liz Pendants, you want to start sending that letter. I was sending the same letter every single week. Sometimes you can put in a handwritten note if you want. But that got me going, okay? But then I had to adjust, right? So the pre-foreclosure series letter, I'm sorry, not the series letter, the letter that Kimberly showed and the one, if you want it, send me an email. That should go out depending on if you are NOD or Liz Pendants every 3 to 5 weeks. If you are in a state that does not have to go through the courts and it's NOD, I would probably do every 3 weeks. The reason why is because it goes through the process a lot quicker. These Liz Pendant states, hence here in Illinois, I am about ready to go meet with someone next week who hasn't made a mortgage payment in 10 years. It is a lengthy process. They can abuse the system, they meaning these homeowners. So in that case, you'd want to send probably every 5 weeks. Now, it is really important to start getting consistent with these direct mail marketing pieces, but also we want families to see us everywhere, right? So meaning at events, social media, emails. If you like doing like cold calls and stuff, we don't do a ton of that. Our letters usually get our phone ringing, and especially our relationships with attorneys, okay? So that is for the pre-foreclosure letter, the one that Kimberly just shared, okay? So again, if you don't have that letter, send me an email. The reason why we don't use that anymore is because over the years, I realized that a lot of homeowners really need to be properly educated about the process. Going to the internet doesn't necessarily give them good results. So our current pre-foreclosure campaign is a series letter. So inside of that series letter, it's a very simple letter. There's a QR code that they can scan. And the great thing about that is it's you. It is you going through the process. So letter number 1, okay, why are you getting this letter? And what does the foreclosure process mean in your area? So this is more of a drip plan. These people that are in a pre-foreclosure status know that they have time, especially if they're in a state that has to go through the courts, okay? So really our goal is to drip on them and have them understand what is going on right now, what's to come, and like how much time they have, okay? Let's talk about the weekly letters. So I don't give the auction letter or the equity letter inside of this group, but if you're planning to get in the niche of distressed sales, again, you want to separate to really stand out, okay? Do not send anything about an auction to a pre-foreclosure family or vice versa. The auction families are at the end of the process, okay? It's sad. A lot of them feel like there's no other options, which is actually false. But the auction families, it is complicated. If you're brand new at the niche or you're not sure what you're going to do, I don't know if I necessarily suggest sending those letters out unless you're a part of, like my community where we can really dive in and help you. I do feel like there's a lot of managing brokers out there that really don't understand or get the gist of what's going on, especially when they do have an auction. But we want to spread the awareness to these families that have the auction. Hey, you still have a couple of options, and we lay it all out in those letters. So if you are planning to market to an auction, you just take a step back and just think about what they're going through. There are tons of different situations why these sellers are falling behind. And you want to have a letter that has empathy and compassion, not just like a simple letter that says, oh, I can help you. It's more than that, okay? They need someone to listen to. They need you to come in and listen to them, their story, and really help them move on. But again, like I said, the auction and pre-foreclosure are going to be separate. So the weekly letter, and this should go out whether you are in NOD or Liz Pendants. It should go out weekly. We pull our data every single Wednesday. My team goes through a step-by-step process. I'm checking to see if this lead is good to send a letter. Then they prepare the letters and everything, and it usually goes out on like Friday, okay? We can go all the way up to Monday, depending how many we have. This week we had just over 200. So every area is going to be a little bit different. So the weekly one should really target the families that have an auction, okay? Let them know they have an auction. Or you could also send out a letter that discusses more of their equity. So we do have the equity letter and the auction date letter. Auction is more specific for short sales. The equity is going to say, hey, homeowners, you may have equity in this property. Pull it out before it goes to foreclosure. It's so sad. These homeowners are literally waiting the last minute. I mean, the lady that just called me a couple weeks ago, yes, her house is listed. Yes, we have an offer. She's making $88,000, but she is this close to her auction. It is next month. And we can't get that postponed. Like, she's done it before. So every situation is going to be a little bit different. But ultimately, this is part 2, and it's really like, how do you stand out? That is with consistency and truly going out there and letting everyone know, hey, I'm Ed in Oklahoma. I could do distress sales in all of these counties and provide as much information and data to them as you possibly can. Let's see, what else did I have for today? Organization, consistency. We're going to talk a little bit more about communication down the road. That's like once you get the offer, what do you have to do, and communicating with all parties. But is there any questions maybe from part 1, which was like the leads last week, or why I do separate the two, or anything about consistency or organization, since that's kind of what we targeted the last week and this week? Any questions, or just in general? I always liked doing the listing side. My partner and I was for listing HUD homes. Okay. So a lot of people get HUD or like foreclosure and short sale a little bit different. So let me just, for anyone that doesn't know, our passion and inside of Blueprint, inside of this group, and inside of my coaching community, we really want to help the homeowner, okay? That's like 30 days behind all the way up to the auction. My passion and what I'm trying to spread to all of you is to truly help the homeowner, okay? We want to help them move on to the next chapter of their lives. They will love you forever, I promise. And then it will lead to other business down the road, like the came from his sister who was in foreclosure 10 years ago from my attorney relationship. See, I tend to go off of the walls because I get so excited about all of this. But so pre-foreclosure, anywhere from 30 days late all the way up to auction. That is where the homeowner, you can help the homeowner. They are still on the title of the property, so they have to participate. They have to cooperate, okay? If it goes to auction, depending on your state, here in the state of Illinois, it will then go to foreclosure. They will go to court, confirm the sale, and they will start the process of kicking them out. That is when it becomes an REO. Have I done REOs in the past? Yes, I have. But that is helping the bank. I don't love to help the bank. My passion lies with helping the homeowner. Okay, does that make sense? So just to clarify, you send out the same letter. So I do send out the same letter. So the pre-foreclosure letter, Kimberly, that you have, it should get your phone to ring. Now, back when I started 17 years ago, that's what we were sending. Like I said, we don't send them anymore, but that letter should go out every 3 to 5 weeks. The same one, same people, pull the new data. You got to analyze that data. You know, make sure maybe someone went from pre-foreclosure to auction during that time frame. Okay. Yeah, Diana, you have to email me. So if you email info@blueprintshortsales.com, I would be happy to send you that letter. Now, currently, like I said, we're not using that pre-foreclosure letter, but it's a great letter to start off with. The pre-foreclosure series letter, it's 8 letters. That goes out same every 3 to 5 weeks, but it's a different letter. It's a different video, a different QR code of you. They're starting to get to know you. And then the auction or the equity is the same letter, and that goes out every single week. Please put your email in the chat. Sure. Okay, so here's my email. Let's see. How do we learn what our state does with regards to NOD in the auction? So, who here are you NOD? Kimberly, I know we just spoke, Kimberly. I cannot remember where you are located.
Utah.
Okay. Are you NOD? Yes, right?
I
You don't know. Okay. So you will be able to find that there's either judicial or non-judicial. So that is a huge thing. If you are planning to get in the niche of distress sales, you have to look, and you can find it online. Are you judicial? Are you non-judicial? Because you do want to be able to educate these homeowners what is going on in the process. If you are NOD, it is going to move through the process very quickly, okay? You're gonna have a lot of less pre-foreclosures and a lot of auctions. Here in Illinois, or like Elizabeth is in Ohio, we have a lot of pre-foreclosures and not as many auctions because it just takes forever. It has to go through the courts. It is also a really great idea. I'm encouraging you to reach out to an attorney who understands the foreclosure process in your state. Because the other thing that you want to be aware of is, when is your redemption period? Okay, so when can they redeem? I know in the state of Michigan, Renee, the redemption period is after that auction. Here it is before the auction. So you really got to know. That's kind of getting in the organization part. Okay, get organized. You know, you want to know how your state processes it, where are you going to find the leads, and then come up with a system. Okay, auction does this, pre-foreclosure does this. So speaking of systems and steps, yeah, so I'm getting a ton of emails. My team will probably get back to everyone probably either later today or tomorrow. Usually Thursdays are pretty crazy for us. But if there's other questions, let's post them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you the event that's coming up, but I'm pulling up the guide for it. Hold on. So I have an event coming up. It is April 12th. I do not normally have events on Fridays, but I know there's a lot of changes coming up, and a lot of people have reached out and said, okay, I think now is the time to really understand distressed listings. So I'm trying to find the image. Hold on. So the event on April 12th, it's called Secure Your Real Estate Business with Distressed Listings. And at that particular event, if I can ever find this, I don't know where it's at. Hold on a second. My design coordinator created a front. So we are going to go through a 17-step blueprint success guide. Now, if I can only find it, give me just a second. Are there any other questions? I don't see anyone. Have to leave. No problem, Lisa. Usually I release the replay the next day, so probably available tomorrow. So we shall see. I just want to show everyone the front of this. It is not coming up. Well, in the meantime, let me just send the link. So I know a lot of you probably have already scheduled this. Okay, here we go. but this is going to be a very special event. Basically, our 17-step blueprint success guide. So what does that mean exactly? Well, we have created literally step-by-step of like, how can you come in and take the niche of distressed sales and run with it, okay? So if you want someone to tell you exactly what to do, this is what this is, okay? So I'm gonna share the screen. So the event, secure your real estate business with distressed listings. This is what we are going to review. It is a 17-step blueprint success guide. Okay, step 1, step 2. Inside of these steps, we go further into the auction because again, we separate those. So we go further into the auction, we go further into the pre-foreclosure series letter. And then we go more into the books and all that. So this is a really great guide. It's probably going to be about an hour, but if you have not registered for that, it is not going to be live inside of our group. It is just going to be through Zoom. So this is exactly what we're going to go through as the 17th step. If you're like, okay, I need to get in the niche of distressed sales, but you're like, I have no clue where to begin, this will be really great for you because it is literally step-by-step telling you what to do. All right, so there's the link. Go ahead and register for that. Otherwise, I will get back to everyone or my team later this afternoon or tomorrow with the letter. Any other questions before we log off today? Whether anything from today or last week or just anything in general.
Heather, I have a question about the short sale. Is this good time for short sale? Because the foreclosure, it's like on the doors, and most of these homes are, there is an equity. So short sale, it's
All right, so that's a good question, Renee. Everyone always says, Heather, I don't know what you're doing. There's no short sales. Well, that's because you are not doing or handling this every single day, okay? So every single day I get up, I don't market to buyers, I don't market to traditional sales. I am diving in heavily with distressed listings. They are out there. So right now, in the last couple of weeks, I've gotten 4 calls from my letters, okay? And also at that event, you'll hear from some other people who have had been highly successful with the letters. But anyway, so out of those 4 calls, 1 of them was an equity sale. The other 3 are short sale. So they are out there. But when I was getting calls back in 2007, 100% of the time I knew it was short sale. That is not always the case now. America is in debt. Bankruptcies are climbing. Something has to give, right? But there's still a lot of families. Michigan is in one of the top 20, I think top 10 of foreclosure filings. There's a lot of foreclosure filings, but not
Yes.
all of them are going to be short sale. So this is a great opportunity for you to come in because while the equity sales are not as complicated as the short sales, there's still a lot of moving parts, and really you have to get it all done to be able to help them and pull that equity out. So they are around no matter where you're at, okay? Does that answer your question, Renee, or do you have a question off of that question?
Yes, thanks. But I did send a first letter to all these actually owners with auctions that it went through the auction and they are in the redemption period. But none of them get back to me. And I scared to go back to them and to knock on their doors. This is my plan was that I wanted after that to follow up to go introduce myself and let them know that there are other avenues that they can go through.
Yeah. So I've been doing this for 17 years. I'm not a huge, I never once door knocked. I never once cold called. I'm dabbling a little bit now because we have an expert in our community. She has had a lot of success with cold calling, but You probably just don't have an eye-catching letter. Direct mail marketing, you really have to spend a lot of time tweaking all of that. And so I don't know. I don't know your whole entire system. We would have to meet like one-on-one for that. But as far as what you're doing, if you don't like cold calling and you don't like door knocking, then yeah, you have to have another system in place. And so all of these years that I've done it, I've always used the direct mail marketing. So my weekly letters I've been sending out for 13 years, every single week for 13 years.
Wow.
It's #2 lead source. Okay. And then our #1 lead source is our attorney relationships, which we'll talk more about that on that April 12th. I wrote 2 books, and that's how we get in front of these attorneys. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. But Renee, just so you know, like I test different things. What I don't want inside of my community is for people to come on and have to test everything. I test it all for you. And then, we'll adjust if we have to. But your system or what you're sending out, it may just not be eye-popping enough for them, is my guess.
I hear you. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
Diana, so I don't know what's going on, Diana, but you have requested to join our group like 1,000 times. You're already in the group. So I don't know if you have like several different Facebooks or what's going on. But you are in the group, so we tend to think that it's spam or someone that's pretending to be you. So that's why we have declined it. I want to try to keep our group with, not a ton of Dianas, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But you are in the group. So maybe just send me an email. Maybe I got to delete the other person. Maybe it's not you. I'm not quite sure. Any other questions? Okay. So next week will be part 3. And if you would like to know what it's going to be, is really how to handle those distress calls and certain traits that you should have. We'll talk about the intake sheet. I do give my intake sheet. There's no cost to attend these sessions, Kimberly. Kimberly, I know you and I met one-on-one earlier this week. I'm encouraging you to attend the April 12th. I think you'll get a better idea of the actual steps and how easy we make it to become that go-to distress expert in your area or specialist. And great, yes, I know I got you signed up, or you signed up. And we'll also hear from some of the success stories inside of the group. So definitely come. I don't know about the replay or what we're going to do yet for that, but it's not going to be live in the group. It will be here on Zoom, and there is a limited space. Okay, I hope everyone has a blessed afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you all again next Thursday. I'll hang out just for a couple minutes in case there's any final questions.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, everyone, I am going to log off now. If you did email, we will get back to you. I can't get into the seminar link for next week. Do you mean the April 12th event? Is that what you're referring to, Elizabeth? Okay, so try this link. You should be able to click it. If not, I see that you emailed me, so I can always include it in the email as well. But you should be able to just click that and it will take you directly to my Calendly to sign up. All right, everyone, thank you very much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you all next Thursday. If you have any questions between now and then, I love to answer questions. Feel free to send me an email or message me on Facebook. You can also post it directly in the group. Thanks and have a blessed day.